Welcome to the Perspectives Podcast. Josue here, Grayson and Chase. The three amigos are back. It's been about 5 years since we've been able to make this happen. Grayson, how you doing, man?
Doing good, man. Just up here for the weekend from Austin and hanging out, getting caught up on everything that's going on with Perspectives and trying to get a lot of organizational internal things organized. So it's been pretty productive weekend. So
Yeah. So it was
nice.
good. It was good being able to work on the website.
Also good to get out of Austin every now and then.
Right? Every now and
That's it.
then.
With you working remote. And
Absolutely.
Normally working
Gotta
remote.
have a change of scenery every now
I
and
hear
then.
you on that. I hear you on that.
Dude. How are you doing?
Man, I'm good, man. Got to sleep in last night. We're up really late for group until like, I don't know, 2 or 3. We just talk about random things. We call it after hours.
Okay.
Where it's just, you talk about every and everything. So, but yeah, man, how about yourself?
Yeah, doing good. It's been funny here at the house watching I think our dog Sadie, she's 12 or 13 years old, playing with Grayson's puppy Murphy.
I got a dog. I guess the last time I was on a podcast was back, I don't know, maybe 3 months ago, May. It's been a while. And since then, I got a dog. So I have a little Brittany Spaniel. So if any of y'all have Spaniels and had them when they were puppies, you know they're pretty wild.
The
but
energy.
It's coming along pretty well. He's a good dog. So if you hear some noises, it's probably him in the background.
Exactly, man.
Yeah, and Chase, what are we going to talk about today?
Yeah, it'll be a good one. We kind of briefly mentioned it at the end of our recap last time around. So it's been pretty much a year, actually exactly a year basically, since we have kind of caught everyone up on a wide scale on kind of what's going on with Perspectives. And so we wanted to do a reintroduction of sorts, just kind of do a brief intro again of, who we are, what Perspectives even is. This conversation as well will go a little bit into kind of what's changed and grown over the past year. Just because of obviously COVID, that's been a whirlwind.
Right.
And then as well, just opportunities that have come up we've wanted to take advantage of. It's been really unique. And so if y'all want to do and listen to a full kind of introduction summary of Perspectives, our programs, everything like that, you can go listen to the first 2 episodes. And that Grace and Josue and I share, our stories, why we felt led to be a part of Perspectives and everything from that grand scale. So
yeah, I mean, so for those of us that are listening, because sometimes we've mentioned that the podcast is part of the nonprofit organization. So what exactly is Perspectives?
Yeah, so super good question. From a general, I guess, business standpoint, we're a 501c3 nonprofit, so tax-exempt organization. And it was founded in August of 2017. Kind of us three kind of started it up along with a couple other people. And it's been great. Obviously, with us being a new organization and with all of us being in our 20s, it's been a journey.
Yeah, for sure.
Getting closer to 30 though.
Right?
Steadily,
We're closer
it's crazy.
on that side of 30 than it was before.
Dude, don't remind us. But yeah, so it's been great. It's been a very valuable experience and super encouraging to see just how the organization has grown in such a short time. And so kind of from a mission standpoint and a question of, what is the purpose of the organization and what's the charitable goal of the organization? In simple terms, we have it on our social medias. Just serve people, change perspectives. Really simple like that. From a bigger sense, and we would say kind of like a second part to our mission, we would say we want to improve and bring unity to like the missions experience, whether that's international, domestic, local, just all around, because God's given us a heart for all of those areas, I guess you could say, uniquely. As well, like you may ask, that's a pretty lofty goal, especially for some kids in their 20s, a lot of people could be saying. So like, how are you going to do that? And, we'll answer that here in a little, however best we can. And so I'd say that's kind of the mission. Like, do y'all have anything you want to add? Because one of the beautiful parts of Perspectives is the fact that it's perspectives, not perspective. And so it's a collaborative of all of us. So
yeah, and I feel like we've been able to see that, through just different things that we've done. We've seen that perspectives with the S. So I always try to emphasize it on all the intros to our podcast, the S at the end. And I have one of my friends who he listens to the podcast quite frequently, and every time we'll talk, he'll say something random, and then he'll just stop and say perspectives. Right? For him, that's like a funny thing that he does. But yeah, no, I definitely agree with your point on that.
Yeah, Grayson.
Yeah, I mean, so kind of the stuff that we've been working on to kind of get our name out there and kind of reach out to other people that kind of need help. We've been doing a lot of homeless outreaches in our current server events. We've partnered up with Alpha Lead down in Houston and have done a lot of homeless outreaches down there. Obviously, the main goal of the organization is to focus more on international trips and things like that. But because of COVID, we kind of had to focus more domestically, which in turn wasn't a bad thing, because just as much as there's need overseas, there's also a bunch of need here in the United States. So it's been really good to do that, just to kind of help in our communities in Dallas, Fort Worth, and then in Houston, and then planning to do some stuff down in Austin. So all that's starting to kind of come together in Austin. So, that's kind of our next thing.
It's been really cool being able to just grow our mission kind of as much as possible, yet still at the same time following and trying to be obedient to the Lord and narrowing things down. And so kind of from there, I guess a question that would be asked is kind of like, who's involved in the organization, since it's the actual business,
right?
Who's involved, things like that. So I thought it'd be good for each of us to kind of do an intro in case people haven't picked up on who we are yet.
Sure.
Don't really know how, and just our role.
Yeah, I mean, just off the bat, we have Chase, myself, Josue, Grayson, Roland. We have our board members, Rand, Jimmy, Susan, and just others that were, hopefully will be able to join us, as time kind of progresses. But Chase, what is, besides, your long walks on the beach, what else are you responsible for?
You just won't let go of that. So my role here is one of the co-founders and the president of the organization. And so I'd say some of my main responsibilities would be continuing just to build relationships with different missions organizations in the philanthropic sector, different churches, as well as just continuing to try to find opportunities for us to meet where people have resources or a desire to serve with a need in the community. Yeah. And so what about you?
Man, for me, it's more so on the relational side, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
That comes through, that's seen through the podcast.
Yep.
We have various guests, some people will reach out to, friends or people that have connections that we're able to bring on, as well as outreach. That's something that we believe in, especially here on a local level. We'll be able to talk about that even more, as Grayson mentioned not too long ago. So,
because with your fam at JOT, you got army of volunteers. Right? So shout out to you guys. Those are just some of the things that I'm kind of over. Grayson, what about you, man? What are some of your roles, responsibility?
So I am the finance guy, I guess. Just kind of help, getting money in the door and trying to organize more fundraising events here coming up in 2021. It made it a little difficult with COVID and, people getting together and having large gatherings. But Chase and I were talking last night, and we have a few good ideas that we think we want to kind of put into motion and get some things going for the upcoming year. And also I just kind of help out with the social media, different things like that. I come from a social media background as far as strategic advertising and things like that. So it's kind of what I do for my job, but it's kind of cool to be able to take that and try to use that in a way to help others and, help the organization and help us grow and to reach more people.
Yeah, exactly. It's so good. But I think that's a pretty good summary of what each of us do. As well, since you mentioned Roland's name, just to briefly cover for him, he is our Houston affiliate for a lot of the events that we do down there. He helps manage the relationship with Alpha Lead and the Beacon down there, which we'll talk about here in depth here in a little bit. But he's been a really, really great help down there since none of us live in Austin. And so it's been great having him, and then obviously board members. Yeah. They're board members, making sure we're doing all the right things and all of that. And so, currently, kind of in summary, we are a small nonprofit, which we're all more than fine with that. This organization is something we're all currently doing in addition to our normal life responsibilities, normal jobs, and just investing the free time that we have into it. And so obviously with that, it kind of limits, the growth we can
Right.
experience with the organization and that we can sustainably undertake. But I think as all of us have kind of seen, like that's been good
Right.
over the last couple of years, because if it would have grown at any faster rate than what it has so far, that would have been a lot, especially with like everything that we have going on in our lives. And I think as well, it allows us to be patient in the calling that God's kind of put on us, and as well just allow the Father just to continue just to refine our vision, refine our mission, since there's so much that we want to do
Right.
as an organization. And so on top of, the people involved with the organization, there's a lot of nonprofits and organizations and churches we do partner with on a frequent basis, such as Weston Church. Shout out David Miranda.
Shout out.
Deep Love Fort Worth. Shout out Raul. Obviously Gateway Church, the Beacon in Houston, and some organizations hopefully in Austin.
Yep. Got some in the works. So
Yeah, so it'll be good.
good stuff coming.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's, and Grayson even shared some of the programs that we currently are involved with and just do within the organization as a way to, trying to reach, people, because that's what we're about, right? To serve people. And so a vision, I guess, if you're wondering, a vision for the nonprofit, obviously, like most other organizations, we have some short-term ones as well as some long-term ones. And just kind of summarize some of our short-term vision, is providing everyone travel, culture, service opportunities, to come in contact with everyone who desires to allow them to grow, their perspective as well as their faith. And we just do that in various ways, through, whether it's podcasts or the dinners that we may have, just different things like that. We also believe that incremental growing and changing of perspectives will, come as time goes, right? There's that shift that happens. It's not always like you learn something today, you wake up the next day a changed person. Things happen, as time progresses and all that. So we love seeing those short-term things, come to fruition, as well as just allowing everybody to participate in different trips and events that we do and throw and host and partner with. We feel like that's also part of the goal, for us, so people can walk away with a fuller perspective on life and just, we're about people growing in their faith and stuff like that. So we love that aspect of what we do. And at the same time, just being able to love on communities and organizations that we partner with.
And also, too, like providing a community for after, we go on mission trips,
Right.
or people coming back and being able to keep them engaged with things that they did over there, wherever we're at, whatever location we're doing, just to kind of get everybody kind of back on the same page and just feel like they have a community to engage with.
Yeah, because like, for example, with Houston, obviously neither one of y'all knew Roland before the trip, and so y'all have been able to keep up with him as well. Just a lot of people from that trip are still keeping up, whether it's Alexis, Kimberlyn, Angela, all of them. And obviously, I mean, Cody Grayson from college, but now Josue does. And so, kind of adding on Josue to kind of your points, just adding on kind of a different perspective to that. Like, just us being able to enable and allow people and friends to be able to have like these same opportunities and experiences that were so valuable to us and have been so valuable to us, like up to this point in life. And so Josue, for you, obviously growing up in the Congo, growing up in different culture and coming over here, that's something that not a lot of Americans get to experience, with us being one of the least traveled nationalities in the world. Grayson, like you and me, being able to be pretty involved in the church, like growing up, but from a kind of missions and service orientation. And so it's been something like for us, it's been great being able to grow through that. And
Absolutely.
Throughout college and everything, we just have a heart, and especially through young adulthood as well, we have a heart for allowing people to have those same experiences. Because there's been a ton of people over the last however many years that have been like, oh, I want to go on a mission trip, I want to serve locally, I just don't know where, and things like that. So being able to be a bridge for people between, kind of as I said earlier, like their desire to serve and the needs in the community has been really good. And just being able to as well balance all that with being intentional about how we're serving, who we're serving, where we're serving, etc., to make sure that like everyone and the community as a whole is benefiting from this. And so kind of with that, it may be unique to say, y'all may be thinking it's unique to say like everyone benefiting, because, y'all who are listening, y'all may ask, well, if you're serving, shouldn't those servants be like denying themselves, as Jesus says, and sacrificing to like love their community and those people and things like that? And yeah, you're correct, because like kind of what we mean by everyone benefiting is really our participants benefiting in the perspective of learning for them further and continuing to learn the need to sacrifice and the role that sacrifice has in our life, and just simply for God to bless them through that. Whether that's through the fruits of the Spirit, whether that's, financially, relationally, whatever, just however God sees that fit. And so that's kind of what we mean by benefit.
Yeah.
Is just being able to grow closer to the Lord, being able to have his blessing on them and everything like that.
Yeah, and even thinking about some of the programs that Grayson highlighted, what are some of the things that we're seeking to do? Some initiatives that we have.
Well, I think just continuing the podcast, because I feel like we've been reaching different groups of people and having other people come speak on the podcast that are, whether they're musicians, people who travel, just doesn't have to necessarily be that, but just anyone that kind of has that faith base and just kind of has a different perspective that other people would enjoy listening to. And so I think that's been really good to reach other people and to get more people engaged.
Yeah, totally agree. Because kind of like and we're going to bring this, or I should say you brought this up, Josue, is providing everyone travel, cultural, and service opportunities. Like the podcast, we would say, is a way of kind of providing like a microcosm of like a travel and a service, or a travel and a cultural opportunity. It's something we're being able to bring on Piniel or Stefania or Yvonne, them being able to share a little bit about their culture. And so those people being able to, in a way, participate in their culture throughout even having to travel there, of which takes time and money and all that stuff. And especially since we weren't able to during this year because of COVID, like, I think it really provided a lot of value. And then from there, being able to encourage people to go out and serve, allowing people to share their stories of, the things that God taught them and showed them through being able to serve was like super encouraging for me.
Yeah, and for me, one of the things that I personally love was those cultural dinners that we did. I don't know, I just felt like whenever we did mine and my family came here, my friends were they were amazed and they asked so many great questions. And that really, went to the point of changing someone's perspective of like, oh, wow, I would have never guessed that people outside of America thought this way, did things this way. So those type of things, obviously due to COVID, we weren't really able to do anything like that. But, we're hoping to continue that even more, to just find different avenues, to really be able to impact people. And
I think one more thing I want to add on to the podcast part is, Grayson, kind of like how you mentioned us being able to bring on like our artist friends, whether that was Montel or whether that's Tadashi, and then also people who were quote unquote social media influencers like Kirby, being able to bring them on to allow them to talk about, travel, culture, service, things like that, because for them, I would think oftentimes, especially artists, they never really talk about that and the impact that has on them. And so their followers, their listeners don't really potentially have the opportunity to not think that those kind of things are impactful in terms of their life. And so being able to give them the opportunity to talk about something different than music, I'm sure is fun for them, but then also good for anyone who's listening to their content. And so I'm sure that's a lot of fun. So Grayson, do you want to mention a little bit about kind of the mission trips, both our partnerships and then just kind of like the international mission trips that we're hoping to do?
I mean, just wanting to do the, more international stuff, going down to Costa Rica and with the people that we have that we're partnered with down there. And then the Alps, Chase went on a trip and was able to network with them this past year. Just a bunch of other ones that we want to try to do next year. And, because of COVID, obviously everything kind of changed, but kind of focusing our efforts here domestically. But I would say that we think Costa Rica is probably the up and coming one.
I would say them or Peru, probably, because kind of we were preparing to do like our first I would say like scouting trips for perspectives, like official ones this year, in terms of going there, seeing what exactly they would want us to work on next year. Because we have a general idea, but like, for example, Joshua, you haven't been down to Costa Rica yet to see kind of what's going on there. So we want you to be able to go down there, see it, experience it, be able to suggest things that we could do down there, and just any ways to improve the trip. And so we were wanting to do that this year in preparation for like our first group trips in 2021. Obviously, as Grayson said, because of COVID, we had to cancel those trips. We weren't able to go down to Costa Rica, Peru, Ivory Coast, Norway, Mexico, Guatemala,
all the places,
a lot of places. And so, even though that was kind of disappointing for us, ultimately that's fine. Like, it's really allowed us to continue to refine like our trips from the perspective of like the purpose, the plan, the goal, the contents, everything like that. And then as well, like really focus domestically,
right? Being
Being able to set up these sustainable, continuous programs, whether it's these, every couple week or monthly outreaches, and things like that. And so we'll see what happens just with international trips kind of going forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know partnering with Gateway has really been a big help for us to try to fine-tune our trips as far as international, but also our partnerships that we've made here in the United States and through, I guess, in Texas mainly, whether it's Alpha Lead or the homeless organizations, the Beacon, all these different entities that we try to go and work with and partner with. That's been just game changer for us as far as our effectiveness and things that we've been able to focus on and do here in the organization.
Yeah. And so kind of going towards the partnerships as well in perspective from the mission trips, like that's been something that we've really been able to pursue our heart for unity in, being able to further them in their callings, what God is doing with their organizations. And so we want to really continue to be able to do that kind of going forward. And whether that's in the form of, scholarships to these organizations to be able to have participants go on these trips that wouldn't be able to otherwise. We've done that with Gateway a couple times. Whether it's like pre or post trip, service events to be able to create that team connection and that team chemistry before they go on the trip. And eventually, being able to sell or give resources to these churches or organizations that maybe don't have the budget to develop these on their own. And so like one of the things that we've been working on for almost a year and a half now, is kind of a pre and post trip devotional to be able to give to different organizations and use for our own trips. And we're gonna have some cool aspects integrated into that with our friends over at Reach Records and with our boy Montel Fish, things like that. And so we did have to put that on pause because obviously no one's going on mission trips right now.
Yeah.
And so financially we wanted to, invest the funds that we had in other areas, whether it was like the homeless outreaches, the serve events, things that we're doing here in Fort Worth with Raul and Deep Love. And so going forward, we'll just kind of see, what happens with that. And hopefully God kind of makes a way for that.
Yeah.
He gets rid of this virus quick. Get up out of here.
Hopefully it'll be gone soon.
It's
kind of scary thing is no one really knows. I mean, how much longer it's going to keep rolling. So.
Like there's a thought because like a lot of pandemics have lasted 18 months. So like there's a thought. I
wouldn't be surprised if it.
But at the same time, we've never had this many people on the planet with this pandemic. And so that could lengthen things out. But yeah, so Josue, what's the next topic, man?
Yeah. Just kind of thinking about some of the things that have changed, over the last year. What are some of the things within our vision that has matured and evolved? What would we say in regards to that?
Yeah. I would say kind of the first thing we wanted to bring up, which is kind of a combination of a couple things. One, I would say our understanding for where we need help, where in specific we need, donors, volunteers to come alongside us to pursue our mission. I think that's something that's clarified a little bit. Going along with that is, being agile and just simply meeting the needs of our local community. If something comes up, us being able to do that. And so we would say kind of probably like the biggest example of that is our relationship we've been able to develop with Alpha Elite over the last year.
They've been huge partners for us. Been awesome.
It's been crazy. And so
shout out to them for all the stuff that they have been able to do for us.
For real. And so kind of to give a little background, they're a athletic apparel company down in Houston, very successful, started up by a guy named Christian Guzman, who's kind of a fitness YouTube personality and content creator. And so been following them for a while and got to meet some of them down in Houston whenever I was at their gym. And there was just some mutual friends. And so whenever we were down there in March of 2019, I was down there with some friends from UNT for the Houston Rodeo. I met one of their affiliates, or athletes, I should say, Russ Orhe. And, you know, we just kind of talked. I'd met him, you know, once before, and we talked about the idea that I had thought of on the way down there of like, hey, what if y'all have any leftover inventory, like how about you just donate that to us, and then us being able to distribute that to the homeless community in Houston, Austin, Dallas. And if y'all want to participate with us, you know, that'd be great, because then that would give them an opportunity to like actually see the impact of their donation and what they're doing. And I won't say the amount of the donation in terms of monetary amount or number of clothes. We'll just say it's very significant.
Yeah.
And it's been taking us a while to be able to distribute these clothes. And it's been great. And so being able to talk with them over the course of 6 months and them agreeing to donating, them donating in December, January, July, and then obviously, you know, this next week upcoming is going to be another donation to us. There'll be the most significant one yet. And so it's just been great and something that we've really had to invest, you know, time, money, thought, everything into. You know, how are we going to take advantage of and be able to steward this opportunity well?
Yeah.
And so kind of for that's where we kind of see some donors and volunteers coming alongside us, whether it was the Houston trip in December, being able to get a group of people to go down there for the weekend. It wouldn't have been possible to distribute all the clothes that we did if it wasn't for them. But then as well, like in terms of donors, like we've kind of realized that, you know, we have access, I would almost say uniquely, to like these resources, these relationships, all of these different opportunities. And we just need, you know, kind of the finances to be able to put the structure around that.
Yeah.
And to be able to take advantage of that, you know, fully, efficiently, effectively, all of that. And so as well, for example, with, you know, our Fort Worth outreaches with Raul and them, it's been something where well, obviously your JOT people have really showed out, you know, there. But Raul is, you know, a great motivator and great, I don't even know what the proper word is.
Wealth of knowledge.
But he's just able to bring galvanize people.
Yeah.
That he's able to just bring them together for a cause, and that man is very devoted, you know, obviously to Jesus. And so with that, and with, you know, the connections that he has to different Whole Food stores around here that are donating the food, and obviously Gateway donating books to you know, Perspectives and Deep Love. It's been something there with you being able to get your JOT people together for volunteers. We've been able to take advantage of this food that automatically gets given to us, the Bibles, the clothes that get donated to us, and all of that. And so being able to understand kind of where people fit in and just being agile in that, and just coming with discernment. And so, Josue, you want to cover the next topic?
Yeah, I mean, even to further that point even more, there's a focus on, you know, us really serving, having a presence locally, as we've mentioned, you know, time and time again, and a lot of everything kind of going on, you know, with COVID and just the season that we're in, the world is in right now, is really giving us that opportunity to really be able to focus locally and just do all these different things that Chase that we've been highlighting, you know, throughout the podcast. And so we're really looking forward to when we are able to go back, you know, have trips overseas, and just how that's going to, you know, come about, and all that fun stuff. And even to the point about Deep Love, last month when we did it, he was able to get some healthcare workers, medical team, healthcare workers. They are healthcare workers, essential workers. Yeah, we had a medical team that came out there. I believe there were about 4 of them, and they just did some, you know, basic things, but that were really helpful to the people that needed it. So as you can see, we're just, you know, seeking a partner, seeking to serve in any way that we can, and really just finding value, and being able to serve here locally. And I'm sure that those people, they're getting blessed, and we're also getting blessed because we get to be the hands and feet of Christ, like we in the church love saying so much. So actually putting those things into practice, I think that's really beneficial for us. So yeah.
I think another thing that we've seen that we've definitely grown in over the past year, since the last time we were all here talking together and doing this, is just all our partnerships and all of our connections with social media influencers, leaders in the church, and just people in general across the I guess
philanthropic sector, missions, all that.
I can't say it either. No, I can't say it either.
Philanthropy enthusiast, all those people. It's been really good to just connect with all of them and just to have them help us move in the direction that we want to go and to reach these goals that we're trying to reach. And obviously that's kind of the big thing, is just to help as many people and serve as many people as we can. And so getting to meet all those people and having them on the podcast has also been really well. And because they know people, and then that puts us in connection with other people that kind of helps.
And then that just enables us to make as much of an impact as possible, as you said.
Absolutely.
And we'll definitely say we appreciate these friends and their heart to share their platform and just hang out with us and kind of serve along with us, because even if they might not be, on site with us or on the field with us, with them coming on the podcast or sharing the podcast and things like that, they indirectly grow the mission. They're indirectly helping people through creating awareness, because it's kind of that two-pronged approach that I think we've talked about before, like the awareness side of it and then the action side of it. And so you can't have one of those without the other, and they play a crucial role in that. And I think something as well that kind of just comes with like the connections and just us wanting to continue to offer those up to the Lord for him to be able to do what he wants with those is with the nonprofit spotlights on the podcast. It's something that we've definitely, as we said multiple times already, we have a heart for bringing unity to philanthropy, to missions, to everything like that. And I think one of the ways we do that is to be able to use, these platforms we've developed to highlight these different organizations. Right. And so with Be Compelled out in Atlanta, the first one of those that we did, like that was so much fun. Being able to do that, being able to hang with Demetrius and Michael, obviously being able to catch up with Chris, known Chris for forever. And that's something that I hope that we're able to continue to do, that we're planning on continuing to do with Perspectives and specifically the podcast. I know we have some that we're thinking about down in Austin with Oath and
there's a couple organizations down there, Oath, and then this company it's an organization Disabled Outdoorsmen, and they're both really good organizations that one, Oath, is kind of helps people get acclimated when they come back from overseas and the wars and things like that, all your ex-military people, and that's been a really good and partnership that's starting to develop, as well as Disabled Outdoorsmen, which is also a faith-based organization, but they focus more on people who are disabled, whether it's mainly disabled military people, but it can be people who were in a car wreck or just have a disability from birth that just love the outdoors and are enthusiastic about that. So it's been good to build that relationship, and we'll have him on the podcast to talk more about that organization, how they can get involved with us and things like that. But so lots of good things coming.
Yeah. And so I think the last thing as well, there's a couple more things. So I'll say this part, and it's definitely related to the podcast. We brought this up in the race panel kind of recap. We've just continued to have an affirmation of like the unique cultures thought that, we've had, and I think has been one of our fundamental kind of beliefs ever since the beginning. And so for those of y'all who haven't heard that yet, pretty much we have this thought that each culture around the world contains a unique part of and unique characteristic of the Father. And as we engage more and more of these cultures, as we get to meet more and more of these people, we're able to see different parts of his character. And when we adopt those parts of his character and the positive parts of these cultures, we're really able to grow in our perspective and our worldview, and we believe become more biblical in our worldview, which is one of our hopes. Is through providing these experiences. Yeah, we want people to grow in their perspective. Obviously, our hope in that is that it's a biblical perspective, a biblical worldview, which we believe God can do through us being obedient, us serving people, us following His commandments. And so, not only just with the podcast, as Josue said, we're hoping to start to do that with the cultural dinners again when we're able to start that up.
Yeah,
and then obviously whenever we can do trips, that'll be an instrumental component to that. And so I think the last thing we kind of want to talk about, and Josue, I think I'll toss this over to you. It's a little bit of an improv question here.
Oh, okay.
So what are some things over the next year that you would like to see the podcast grow in and evolve in and be some focuses for this next year? Ooh. I know we've talked about some.
Yeah.
But what are some of yours?
Yeah, I think in a weird way, I'm still trying to figure out how we can go about doing this. I've had a lot of people... I don't know, people just get interested and then they start asking me random questions. People, for some reason, maybe it's just because a lot of my friends are, within that same age and they all want to know how, like relationship stuff fits in their lives from like a biblical perspective. And so, they all give the feedback from whenever we had Jordan on and he kind of expressed how his, coming to find his wife, Amanda, was such a great thing. And so they want to figure out a way for us to kind of work that in there. I don't know how we're going to do that, but I just want to continue to find really interesting people, to bring on that really cause people to stop and think, wow, that was a really great conversation. Right. So if you're out there listening and you are interesting, if I can even properly say that, let us know. We want to hear your story. We want to be able to bring on as many people, as we can, because it's not just, the social media influencers or the leaders, but just regular people like us. God has impacted and used us in various ways as well. So we want to be able to hear your story as well. So I don't know, just figuring out different ways, having different series, different topics to continue to have the podcast as something where people continue to listen and find value in. So those are just some of my thoughts.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
I think it'd be cool to get some sports people.
It would.
That would be kind of cool.
Yeah,
get some.
That definitely would.
Some, I don't know, just people who are big in the sports arena.
Yeah,
pretty awesome.
No, why y'all are bringing that up?
Yeah,
yeah, that's definitely a part of the plan.
Can we get Dak on here?
That dude's recovering from surgery right now.
He is, so he has time.
That boy, nah. We need, especially after that game last night. We need him to focus on recovery. We don't need him on any podcast.
No, I saw a video. I'm sorry, I have to get into this. I saw a video. He was talking about his recovery, and he was like, this is God. He started talking about God and Jesus. I was like, whoa, Dak! I didn't know it was like this. So I would love to have him on. He seems like a faith-filled guy, So
we can see. It'd be sick to have that dude on. But we can.
I'm just throwing it out there. Dak.
Have to jump through some hoops.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we need all of our connections to come together for that.
Yeah. So I kind of wrapping up here. I think one of the last things we want to say is we're still growing. We're still working, trying to figure out and discern what's best for the organization. What's the best way to go about things. Figure out what model is best. We will say there is a rhyme and reason for how we're structuring things. And the order in which we're kind of prioritizing things. Obviously, COVID has thrown a wrench into it a little bit, so we've had to be agile, but that's been perfectly fine. And so we would just say, continue to pray for us as we're just trying to be obedient, just trying to figure this out, trying to honor God in the process. And, we're excited for the future. We're hopeful that, God's heart for unity will really be able to come through and we'll be able to be a piece in that puzzle. And that many people will be impacted both on the serving end and also on the receiving end. So, Grayson, you have any wrapping up, concluding thoughts?
Yeah, just super excited about everything that's coming into plan, and hopefully COVID will slow down and we can make some good trips next year and take some people out. And I think that's kind of the main goal we're working toward. But until then, it's been really good to see all of everything that's been happening right now. And just even all the conversations Chase and I had last night talking about organization and things that we do moving forward. So I think that there's a lot of good stuff to come, and I'm super excited about it.
Yeah. Yeah, and for me, I think I probably shared this before, but whenever Chase first approached me, I'm like, man, this guy's crazy. So just being able to be on this journey with everybody.
He kind of has that effect sometimes.
Right?
It's true.
Being able to be on this journey with everybody, like Grayson said, as you guys are seeing us grow, I'm also seeing us grow. And so for me, it's been really exciting, and I'm just excited to be able to continue to see what we're able to do next year. And just, guys, let's really work on getting Dak on here. That's my last take. I'm going to stick on this until we actually make it happen. Yeah.
All right. Well,
thanks, guys.
We'll see. But so really good being able to catch up with both of y'all.
Thanks for having me up.
Yeah, being able to have all three of us in the same room. It was a lot of fun. And I'm really excited for the future. I appreciate both of y'all. Appreciate Murph down here, Murphy being quiet. But it was a good time. It was a good time catching up with y'all over these last few days and being able to just kind of start to plan a little bit for the future. I know I get caught up in these ruts of just wanting to do and not plan. So it's definitely much appreciated on my end that y'all help me slow down a little bit and make sure I'm not being an idiot. So perfect. Well, that'll be a wrap for us today. Thank y'all for tuning in. If you liked this episode, please subscribe and leave us a review and all that fun stuff, just helping the podcast grow. If you'd like to support the work we're doing with Perspectives, whether it's outreaches, whether it's a podcast, whether it's trying to get Dak on here, feel free to go to our website, can donate to us, tag us on social media. I guess. I don't know if that'll get Dak's attention. But just really appreciate all the support, all the encouragement over this last year. It's been great. And 2021 and the last couple months of 2020 are going to be great. God's got some good things in store. So that'll be it for us today. So until next time, much love and God bless.
Peace.